This video is sponsored by, well, you all knew it was only a matter of time. Greetings, adventurers, and welcome back to the Den of the Drake. Other dragons hoard gold while I hoard internet cringe. Oh, come on, I'm trying to record a video! What do you want? Don't you know who we are? Haven't you ever heard of Raid Shadow Legends? Oh yeah, I've heard about Raid Shadow Legends. I downloaded it since it's free to play on iOS and Android platforms. The game has more than 500 unique champions to collect, level up, and equip with gear to turn into unstoppable killing machines. I'm a huge fan of the limitless customization option since you can make teams 100% for the memes. No idea who you are though. We are the Dark Elves, a race of assassins and warlocks. We rejected the light of the Arbiter and took up arms in the name of our Dark Lord Cyroth. 700 years ago. Yeah, you're all badass edgelords, I get it. But that doesn't give you the right to just show up on my doorstep. Oh, but it does. We've been going to the tavern almost daily and having other champions sacrificed to us, so that we can level up to become the most powerful elves Teleria has ever known. All to do battle with Raid's unique clan bosses. The game has mountains of unique bosses to slay and claim loot from. Noble warriors, disgusting lizard men, ancient red dragons. Say, you wouldn't happen to know anyone who would fit the description of an ancient red dragon, would you? I'll be right back. Who was that? Dark Elves. They're here to kill me because they think I'm a new clan boss that's been added as a part of Raid's Halloween event. Halloween event? Oh yeah, Raid's got a non-stop schedule of new special events. This month they got a Halloween lineup that includes big rewards, tournaments, special fragment events, and a brand new Halloween champion. But I'm not exactly about to experience any of it if they kill me. Oh, I know how to deal with those guys. Just give them this and they'll leave. Alright, you Hot Topic rejects, here's the deal. You leave me alone and I'll give you a huge head start in Raid. All you gotta do is click the link in the description or scan my QR code and you'll get 200k silver, a free XP boost, a free energy refill, and an ancient shard to instantly summon a brand new champion. Plus, I'll go ahead and throw in an epic champion just to show you that there's no hard feelings. I mean, look at her! Chinaru is the goth waifu you've always wanted but never had. All you gotta do to get this stuff is follow my link or QR code, then check your inbox. And all of it will be waiting for you right there. Well, the dragon is giving out free goth waifus. Very well, dragon, we shall click the link in your description and leave you be. Enjoy your cringe while you can. F***ing Dark Elves. Well, there's nothing like attempted murder to throw off your train of thought. Now back to business. The story I have for you today stars a nightmare DM who commits DM sin after DM sin, as if he were crossing off items on a shopping list. But their worst crime is the enabling of one of the most insufferable cases of main character syndrome that I have ever seen. Now, without any further delay, let's go ahead and dive right into the horrifying world of r/RPGHorrorStories. Enjoy. This story is titled, GM Encourages One Player's Main Character Syndrome. Good day, fellow horror enthusiasts. Longtime lurker on this subreddit. Today I decided to share an old story about my first time taking part in a D&D campaign as a player, after DMing for 3+ years. I sincerely hope that it will entertain you as much as it has given me nightmares. So here we go. First and foremost, I kept playing with this group for too long, and I know I should have quit months before I actually did. The reason that I didn't is simple. The group was set up by two of my girlfriend's best friends, and she begged me to stay even as just an excuse to hang out with them. They're cool people, so I endured as much as I could, until it was just too much. Cast of the show: me, girlfriend, friend 1, friend 2, protagonist, and GM. Characters and details of the campaign are not important right now, but I'll be happy to share them in another horror story. Let me know just in case. For now, let's concentrate on the 2 reasons for our collective suffering. Protagonist, a player with astounding main character syndrome, and the GM, which deserves at least an introduction. Our GM, which I consider to be a huge part in turning the game into literal hell, was not very good. His style of GMing included 1. Not preparing anything in advance and always improvising everything. 2. Railroading everyone on the only path he prepared 10 minutes before the session. 3. Not caring about game balance. 4. Stealing ideas from the latest video games/book/movie that he saw. 5. Total incompetence when it came to handling issues between players. I could talk for hours about how much of a disaster this year-long campaign was, but I'll leave that for another time. The last thing you need to know about this GM is that he basically worshipped Protagonist. He frequently asked him for help during sessions, and treated him as the best D&D player that ever lived. This is probably what gave Protagonist the idea that he can do anything he wanted in the game, since, well, he's so good. Out of game, Protagonist was pretty chill and usually brought many interesting stories to share with us, which led to most of the table, myself included for a while, to feel sympathy for him. As time went by, however, his in-game behavior made pretty much everyone ever regret sitting at that table. Aside from the DM, which, of course, had no problems with him or his character. Let's get to the good stuff. Here I summed up more than 1 year of accumulated horror and despair into everything that was wrong about Protagonist and the GM. Please note that not all was clear from the beginning, and some things took some time to figure out, since both of them always had many excuses to justify such elements in the game. Number 1. His background. We all started at level 3, so all the backstories for our characters were pretty simple, such as traveling wizard with thirst for knowledge, or wanted rogue looking to make a living. Protagonist, instead, presented himself as a demigod knight, firstborn of the most powerful household in the entire kingdom, renowned warrior who won many wars for his king, and to top it off, descendant of an angel, whose blood allowed him to use magic even though he was a martial class. The GM allowed everything since it's such a cool concept, and also gave him magic items and extra abilities to match his background, even as a level 3 player character. So this is actually something that I see a lot in new players. You know, the player with the backstory where his character is a legendary dragon slayer king who's been exiled by their evil uncle, and it's their destiny to reclaim their kingdom and fulfill the prophecy to save the world from darkness, blah blah blah. Let me tell you a secret. At level 1, you can be outright killed if you stub your toe hard enough. Your character has the strength and longevity of a wet cocktail napkin. However, I can't fault newer players for doing this. Everyone is used to just being dropped into worlds where their protagonists are already strong as hell. Kratos, the Dragonborn, the Doomslayer. They're all nigh immortal before you even put the disc in the console. When you have the option to play as Master Chief, why would you ever choose to play as Glass Joe? However, D&D players quickly find out that no character can function on their own, and very often their innate weakness will cause them to inevitably fail. This can be both frustrating and comical for players, when their god-blessed warrior king who single-handedly killed the Tarask in their backstory gets bodied by a goblin with a sharpened paperclip. There's a simple way to avoid an embarrassing death like this, and that would be recognizing that the word backstory is derived from the term background story, as in, it happens in the background. The backstory you write for your characters is not an opportunity to explain how cool they are. It's an opportunity to explain why they picked up a sword or a spellbook and decided to become an adventurer. The real story starring your character is the journey that they and their party embark on as they grow stronger and wiser as they climb from level 1 to level 20. So maybe it's a good idea to wait until at least level 5 before you start thinking that your character is some kind of badass. Number 2. His amazing roleplay. As soon as Session 1 began, Protagonist presented himself as the leader of the party and told everyone to follow his orders. Mind you, our characters had never met beforehand. But since he was a renowned noble warrior, we just went along with it. The GM, of course, allowed it because it makes sense. Everyone would just assume that he's in charge because insert background reason. At first, we simply followed his commands and got the game rolling. Things would soon start taking a turn for the worst. What Protagonist meant with "follow my orders" was that he would handle any plot element, NPC discussion, decision, strategy, even our daily schedule. Each attempt of our characters to do something on our own was met with annoyance, and Protagonist always tried to stop us, meddle in, or straight up ask the GM to skip our turns because we're wasting time. I want to proceed. The GM, of course, backed him up every time. We sneak out to do something that Protagonist doesn't want us to do. The GM replies with, you try to do that, but you fail. Or, you look for this, but you can't find it. And then goes back to Protagonist. We complain about his behavior. Oh, it's fine, he's just role-playing. We do anything that upsets him. He rolls a +50 on Intimidate using his angelic aura, and the GM declares that we're too terrified to even think about challenging him. Now that's what I call fairness. Number 3. He's the main character. If what I've told you up until now has not satisfied your horror hunger, here's some highlights of what happened during the actual game. I picked the finest, but also every session included 3 or 4 variants of what is described here. 1. Protagonist never has to make a roll for anything. He's so strong that he cannot fail. I tried to persuade a nobleman for information, and I roll a 14, which is too low. He does not tell you anything. Protagonist talks to the same person. He recognizes you as the great heir to a powerful lord and greets you with all the honors. Then tells him everything and then offers gold as a gift. No rolls required. 2. Since he's the leader, all the loot we get from dungeons and quests is automatically given to him by the GM. He then decides how to split it, keeping the best and allowing us to have the rest. If we even once bothered him, we got nothing, because we didn't deserve anything. Also, any treasure that we did find was locked behind some safety mechanism that only Protagonist could unlock, just to make sure that no one could take something before he did. 3. Protagonist wanted to have a mount, and he requested a dragon. GM told him to wait until level 12, since apparently that's the level required to ride a dragon. Protagonist whined because that would take too long, and started getting angry because I'm already powerful enough. I don't think I should wait. GM ended up having us meet an adult dragon at level 7, who immediately recognized the incredible power of protagonist and requested to be his mount. Imagine Den of the Drake reading about this one. If anyone tries to mount me, I will cut them, and I will cut them f***ing deep. 4. After we returned from a battle, protagonist received a letter. His parents were killed by an evil cult when he was away. We interpret it as a plot device to make us fight against the cult. Instead, protagonist declared that he didn't care about his parents and only went back home to be proclaimed as the new lord. He gained a castle, a personal army, several servants, and also a ton of gold and magic items that the cult did not steal for reasons. Nothing was shared with us aside from a couple of items that he already had. The cult was never brought up again afterwards. This is pretty much everything. There might be other stuff that I can't really remember, it's been a while, but I feel like you get the picture. The campaign pretty much stopped being fun for me and everyone else after a couple of months. But we still kept going because we enjoyed each other's company and our characters had some fun chemistry. In the end, I left the campaign for good after GM started stealing ideas from my own campaign and putting them in his game, thinking that I wouldn't notice. I know that they tried to keep things going until they finally gave up. I don't know what protagonist or GM are up to these days, but I fortunately found other groups to play with. I'm having fun, and I'm now very careful on not playing favorites with my players. But at least this helped me learn how to host great adventures with great people. End of story. Okay, so this one was hard to read. Firstly, because some parts of this story were as incomprehensible as a Joe Biden speech. There were some sentences I just had to ad-lib to avoid giving myself a brain aneurysm. But the grammar wasn't the only thing making me feel like I was having a stroke. I don't have the foggiest idea of what was up with the DM in this situation. Like, did he just have a crush on protagonist or what? It's just so mind-blowing to me that a DM would try to encourage main character syndrome this bad, and not have any idea the effect it would have on his game. In homebrew settings, anything can work if given enough thought, but it needs to be approved by all players, not just the DM and his secret lover. Now before we go, let's take a look at this week's Gallery of the Drake. This week's fan art is done by viewer Manga Artist, and depicts what happens when you collect all 7 cringe balls. Last time on Dragon Ball Z, our hero collected all 7 cringe balls, and summoned the great and mighty Drake. You have summoned me, mortal. Name your first wish. I want you to give me a new pet griffin. Your wish is granted. What the f***? This is just a pigeon stapled to a cat. I'm gonna be honest with you, you really shouldn't be expecting any kind of quality when you summoned me using artifacts called cringe balls. Thank you again, Manga Artist, for submitting your art. If you want to see your fan art featured in Gallery of the Drake, be sure to send it to the email in my About section. Fan art is my favorite part of doing YouTube, and it means the world to me that I can create content that inspires artists like you to create artwork like this. With the story over and artwork displayed, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. I would like to thank you all for listening, and I hope to see you next time in the Den of the Drake.